Yeah, I'm ready. Oh, we're already going.
Oh my gosh. Hello.
Hello.
I'm Steph.
Oh, and I'm Jeff.
And I work in the film and TV industry, and we are watching Supernatural. I have watched it all 15 seasons and seasons 1 through 5 many times, but I am bringing this guy on a journey of watching it with me. But there's a deal in place.
Since she has never seen Star Trek, which is my favorite show, we are going to be trading off seasons. So 1 season of Supernatural for 1 season of Star Trek. And we are going to go through the entire experience of watching. One of us knows what's happening, the other one doesn't. And then if we spoil it, the other one gets to pay it back. And we're going to swap seasons back and forth until we run out of shows, I guess.
Yeah. He works in marketing. So I have a corrections corner that came from our consultant / research assistant / expert, Christy. She listened to episode 1 and she let us know that it was indeed 2005. I wasn't sure if it's 2005 or 2006 for the first season, but 2005. And Jared also owns the car, baby. I thought it was just Jensen, possibly Jared, but I thought it was just Jensen, but also apparently Jared owns it as well. So those are the corrections that we have. And she wholeheartedly agreed that the show is 1,000 million times % or whatever, about the brothers. So just had to get that out there because I promised there would be corrections if I was told about them. Yeah. So we are going on to episode 2, season 1, Wendigo. Original air date was September 20th, 2005. We're getting super official. Now we're doing air dates. And I also have a synopsis. Sam and Dean investigate a series of disappearances in the Colorado wilderness, following clues left by their father's journal, and discover they are hunting a Wendigo, a cannibalistic creature from Native American folklore, which preys upon campers in the area, forcing them to help a young woman search for her missing brother who was taken by the creature.
Bum, bum, bum.
And go. Thoughts?
So, we did just finish watching this, and Stephanie didn't actually, no spoilers this time. That was great.
I didn't spoil anything last time either.
Two?
In the podcast, I said that Jeffrey Dean Morgan will be coming back, but during the episode, I didn't do anything.
Well, the podcast is still early then.
Whatever, man.
So yeah, this one was the first actual in the grind of things, because we talked about the pilots before and how that's kind of a different beast. It is its own side world, and this was the first really picked up and running, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the first kind of like, we call them Monsters of the Week episodes. Well, actually, I think that came from the writers. I think they would talk about it that way. Monsters of the Week episodes versus the episodes that kind of furthered the overall arch of the season. This had a little bit of overall arch because they're still searching for their dad, and the thing that killed Jessica. So that is kind of arching over the season, but mostly it was a Monster of the Week episode. So yeah, it falls more into line with like a normal episode of Supernatural rather than one that has to explain to you the entire history of these boys and this world in 42 minutes or however long the episode is.
We're talking Monsters of the Week, like Scooby-Doo style, right?
Yeah, like something that they have to hunt, basically.
Right.
This week's a Wendigo. Last week was Woman in White.
Next one's going to be a Chupacabra.
No.
But either way, they'll introduce it at the beginning. We'll go through the turmoil, and then they'll basically button it up by the end.
Usually, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's what happened this time. Big surprise. Yeah, I enjoyed the episode. I think it was fun. Sam and Dean, they're really starting to play up the whole element of the brother dynamics and really drawing the line on who these brothers are. Like, they're very different people, and we're starting to see that. However, I have in my notes, there are a couple of things that definitely need to be addressed. But I was curious, is this one of those shows that just makes up locations that look like they could be real? Like Blackwater Ridge, Colorado, is this a real thing?
I know for certain that a lot of the locations that they put on the screen as far as, where the boys are for that episode are real places. Like, one of them they do in Lansing, Michigan, which is my hometown. So I know that the towns, I would say at least mostly are real. I don't know if they're all real, but I would imagine they are. That being said, I think 99% of all of the episodes are shot in Vancouver. So they just shoot places that look
They
like
pick
they
any
would be.
town USA and then...
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Cool. The first thing of note in this episode was how angry Stephanie is about the music.
Oh, yeah, we have to talk about the music.
We have to talk about the music.
So Christy, our expert, she also led us on to the fact that Netflix didn't want to pay for the music. The epic music of Supernatural, pretty sure half of the budget in the early seasons went to this amazing classic rock soundtrack that Eric Kripke insisted be used. And I love him for it because the music in this show is absolutely amazing. It made me fall in love with classic rock. And Netflix doesn't want to pay for it. So mostly it's all gone and you notice it. Somehow I cannot find my DVDs for the early seasons. I'm not sure where they are. Shame on me. So we are forced to watch it on Netflix. And there are two moments in this episode. This is an episode that I definitely watched more than just in a rewatch of a season. I would just go back and watch just this episode because I love this episode. But there was two moments where I was like, that's not the music. That's not the music. And at the end of the episode, when Dean throws Sam the keys, I was like waiting for it because I knew exactly what the music was. I could hear it in my head. And then Sam caught the keys and it wasn't that. I was like, oh, God, the music there is so perfect, but you're not hearing it. So luckily, Jeff went up on YouTube without even me saying anything and looked up the true ending of Supernatural, and he got to hear the real music, and he was like, yeah, that's a lot better. But it makes a difference. It really does. Rather than this generic classic rock bullshit music that they have, some, I don't know, just some AI bullshit that was written. It's probably not AI back in 2005, but you know what I mean.
It's indie, pick a filler, lower cost. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. So the first time I heard you say it at the beginning of the episode, I want to tease you for that. Like, I want to tease you about being so in depth into these episodes that you recognize when the music in the one-off episode changes. But it's true. It's 100% true. I'm a mega Friends fan and have been watching it since it was being streamed, since it was actually still being released. And I had the DVDs for a long time, and then whenever it released on streaming, it was on Netflix for a long time, and now obviously it's on HBO Max. And whenever they change one scene or they shorten one bit by 2 seconds, you notice it because it just all of the rhythm gets broken from what you learned. So it makes sense. And yeah, going back and watching, just pulling up the YouTube video of the end of the episode, I was a little surprised that it was that easy to find, but hearing the way that they just perfectly timed that musical segment and then how it was just haphazardly switched out with something that, I mean, it just didn't hit that same.
No, and
it dropped the moment too.
It did.
Sam got the keys.
Yeah.
At the end of the episode. That was the big deal.
Yeah, and the music adequate the chosen music of the actual episode perfectly aligned with that moment, and the filler bullshit did not. And I don't think it's any secret that, you know, music a lot of times can make or break a TV show or a movie. I don't think that's lost on anybody, but we are musicians. Jeff and I are both musicians. And so I think maybe it's even more something that we pay attention to, is music within a TV show or movie. And it really, truly does make a difference, the music. And I think anybody that's watched a show that they flipped the music out of understands that. It's not just what you want it to be, because that's what you've known or familiar with, can change the mood and the message of the moment that you're watching, for sure. Part of me wants to go into detail and give an example, but I'm not going to do that.
Okay, so wait, let's talk about the motivation behind that then. Because I think that is a little bit interesting, and you might have some insights being that you work in the industry. But I mean, aside from it's a money thing, go deeper into that. Like, what's the deal with how songs can change after episodes go to streaming, after they've come off of television? Like, what's the difference there? Are the fees paid annually to be on a show?
That's above my pay grade. All I know is that it costs a lot of money to get the rights to things. I mean, we talk about it in episodes of the TV show that I'm working on, what we have rights to, how much they're going to cost. And you'd be surprised at how much things cost. Like, just, 10 seconds of "Oh My Darling" costs, like, I forget how much the number was. It was like $20,000 or something like that. It's insane. So I'm not begrudging musicians getting their money. What I am saying is that is, as far as I know, the only reason why you would change out the music. That being said, there is one instance that I'm familiar with, where Francis Ford Coppola, he put out a director's cut of the movie The Outsiders, which happens to be one of my favorite movies. And he put music in that he wanted. It was like music of the times. And so they changed the music in the director's cut. And it probably cost more money, actually, the music that they put in, because it was music from artists at the time. I didn't like it as much. Because, again, even I understood what he was trying to do, but the music that was written, the score that was written, helped tell the moments better. It helped convey the feelings and the vibes better than the music of the time did. So I guess that's another instance in which somebody might change the music, but I would say 98% of the time it's because of money, purely just with money. Money and the ability to get the rights. Sometimes you can't get the rights, period.
Mm-hmm. I guess I was thinking up to this point in time, I thought that once you bought it, you had it.
No.
So it's like a set period of time whenever you buy it. So, I mean,
I don't know. I'm not familiar enough with it. That's outside my purview. Okay. But if I had to guess, it's like, how many, it might just be how many plays even. I don't know. And every deal might be different. That's not my purview, not my department.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, well, that's interesting. That's super interesting. All right, so then we get out to Colorado, into Blackwater Ridge, Colorado, which might or might not be a real place. Then we had Screaming 2005, the crab seashell white necklace, the shell necklace.
Choker.
The choker, that's right. The man choker, which was, that was a nice little throwback.
I'm pretty sure he's wearing a short sleeve with the long sleeve under it. Yeah, that's true. Another early aughts.
Yeah, the long sleeve tee undershirt.
Yeah, another fashion choice for sure of the early aughts.
Yeah, so 3 guys out camping and just playing video games, which sounds about right. Creature attacks. We see nothing about it, and then flash over to the guys. So these guys get out. They're looking around. I did find this little implication that all of these evil creatures, they're all known to these guys. That's one of my notes, is that I think it was Sam said that it's no skinwalker or black dog.
Dean said that.
I'm sorry. It makes me wonder how many different playing cards there are for all of these different creatures, because they talk about them freely like they're just different categories, and everybody apparently knows what they are.
Well, not everyone.
Clearly. No, I mean everybody in, like, these guys who do the hunting. So these 3 guys, they are all cross-referencing these names. It's not like they made up the names. It seems like it's just well-known, well-documented, and well-understood.
Yeah, it's always been set, like, in the earlier seasons. I think actually more so after season 5, and Eric Kripke left the series, fans would often ask the writers or whoever, like, you know, I forget the question, but the answer was there's no shortage of folklore, creatures, monsters, fairy tales, whatever, that we are in no danger of running out of stories to tell in that arena. And so yes, to answer your question, is they didn't make them up. They are just out there in the world if you know where to search. Sometimes they are in, folklore.net or things that are made up.net or whatever. I don't know. But
2005, all we had to do was go to the library and we could search for it.
Or use Dad's handy dandy journal
that fits into any size pockets in any jacket.
At one point, he pulls that thing out. He was like, is he just walking around with that big old book in his jacket?
He's got an Encyclopedia Britannica, basically, that's just inside of his jacket. Not even in the pocket.
Yeah, it's inside his jacket next to his peanut M&M.
His Sam's Club-sized bag of peanut M&Ms.
Hey, okay, Dean was smart and brought provisions. Okay?
He did have provisions. Oh my god, yeah, that was funny. And then all this time that they're running around or getting attacked or whatever, he's walking around with this big huge book inside of his jacket, slowing him down.
That is funny.
Oh, that was great. That was really great. What'd you think about Haley?
I liked Haley because I think that she is tough, but then also wasn't so... She wasn't like Roy, who was just like outright like you guys are crazy and like you don't know anything and mocking the magic circle. She is tough and also willing to do anything to help or protect her family, her brothers, which you're seeing a theme going on here with family. And even if that means going outside the realm of what she thinks is real. And she, to her credit, now granted, you can't spend 30 minutes convincing a character that something is real. So she has to kind of be on board pretty quickly for timing's sake. But she basically was like, okay, well, if this is true, then how do we fix this? And she was, I don't know, I liked Haley. What are your thoughts?
I feel like she was a bit of a stereotype. I think that they did, for the sake of time, they were having to force a lot of things through that just didn't quite fit. Like everything was about getting her brother back, which is great. But she's like, okay, well, you guys are obviously lying. So who are you? There's like, yeah, we're looking for Ned. And she goes, okay. I'm like, all right, well, I guess let's just go back to the storyline then. And every time she saw something new, she screamed at the top of her lungs. Like that just kind of bugged me a little bit. I've never met anybody who's actually like that. Number one, it just feels like it's an archetype.
But have you ever met anybody who ran into a Wendigo?
Yeah, I did last week.
And you survived?
It was right down here on the street. You didn't see it?
How many times do we have to talk about this? When you're trying to be funny, you're not Dean, okay? I know you want to be Dean. I can tell when Dean has those one-liners. I can see that like ooh, I want to be the person that could have said that one-liner.
Write that one down later.
Exactly.
I don't know. Dean has a lot of Jeff-like tendencies, I think.
He has a lot of what Jeff would want to be like tendencies. Like you want to be able to throw those one-liners out. Like the way that he carries himself, I agree with you. But you don't always have those one-liners handy. Dean always has a one-liner handy. Now, he also has a writer's room of people giving him those one-liners. But you're also going to come to... I don't think this is really a spoiler. It's not that big. It's not a plot thing. But Dean also is a huge deliverer of references to pop culture or like TV shows or movies or whatever. And that's something that you are all about as well. So
grew up on TV.
Yeah.
That sounds like it's going to be fun. Now, is it everything going to be mid-2000s? Like, is it going to track along with the show?
No.
Or are they going to be more, like, timeless? Like, we'll be able to make references to...
Oh, no, definitely. I mean, you actually, in the first episode, you heard him make reference to oh my God, why am I blanking? Mulder and Scully.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. That is true, and that was a good one.
Yeah.
Sounds like something funny like I would have said.
And they actually, both the brothers oftentimes use fake aliases, as you know, because fake FBI agents, fake Rangers, or whatever. And a lot of times they are classic rock legends names. But there's definitely one, I can't remember which episode it is, but he references Rosemary's Baby. He references Dingo Ate My Baby. Like things aren't necessarily from the 2000s.
Okay.
I remember one line is like my man Jack in Cuckoo's Nest, like Jack Nicholson.
Yes.
Yes. So like he definitely makes references all over the place. Actually, he's more likely to make a reference to older things because, as you see, he has this cassette tape collection. He's kind of stuck in the past in terms of like what he's familiar with in terms of media. And a lot of that's to do with like his dad, because his dad listens to the music, and so that's what he grew up listening to as well. And so he didn't get out there in the world like normal people did. So what he was exposed to is limited to what maybe his dad exposed him to.
Right.
So it might be more from like the 70s and the 80s as opposed to the 2000s.
Makes sense. We'll see.
Yeah. I think you'll appreciate it. Do you have a leanings yet if you're going to be a Dean girl or a Sam girl?
Yeah. Thanks, Christy, for that one. I don't know yet. Sam he's coming across just in the short period of time that I've gotten to know these guys. Sam is coming across as a bit, well, he's the level-headed one between the two. It almost feels like he kind of has to be. Even though he's the younger, he's the more intellect. He's the one who tries to be more responsible. And I think it's because you have to counteract the just throwing it all to the wind like Dean apparently does. But it works, and Dean's just going to make it work by leaving a trail of M&Ms so we can track them. But I mean, Dean has got some great characteristics. Sam has good characteristics. I don't mean anything to sound like it was ragging on him. They play opposites. I can see a lot of areas where my brother and I complement into each other and complement away from each other based on how we are, and we always were that way growing up too. I don't know. I don't think I have a pick yet.
I am a fully in team Dean. I'm a Dean girl for sure. That being said, it's kind of interesting because I'm probably more like Sam. Like I'm more of the Sam that we know right now, at least. There's 15 seasons. You kind of never know what's going to go on. But the Sam of now, he's, more bookish, nerdy, responsible, that sort of thing. He's not... I as much as I would love to be a Dean in terms of, like, witty and funny and just, like, cool or whatever, that's just not my lot in life. But like you said, both have their positive attributes to them for sure. And, I appreciate both of them a lot. And I think right now it's also difficult because Sam is going through something right now. He's just, his girlfriend was just murdered, killed, whatever. And he's kind of reeling. He's having nightmares. And so I don't know, you're getting the best version of Sam right now. You're getting the angry version or the upset, frustrated version, the one that's, Dean said, he's like, I'm the belligerent one. And you're the one that keeps calm head, or I can't remember the exact line, but so you're getting kind of a different version of Sam right now than you'll come to know.
And we don't even really know what Dean is going through at the moment, other than Dad's been on a hunting trip and we haven't heard from him for a few days. Mm-hmm. So if Dean could be going through his own thing. He might be residually not going through anything. He could just always be going along with whatever happens, so he's not currently going through anything at all. I have no idea. We really don't have it. We were introduced because of the way that they did the pilot to Sam's backstory a bit more.
Yes.
In his current state. Dean, nothing. He just showed up. Breaking and entering. drop some M&Ms. Like, this is basically all we have on the guy. So
Smart ass.
Oh, definitely a smart ass. Yeah, that was easy to pick up on.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm interested to see more of his backstory. Obviously, a lot of this is going to overlap, being that they're brothers. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, I'm not. I don't think I'm anywhere close to deciding quite yet. Need a lot more information.
It also could change. You never know. It could change. It could change halfway through the series. You never
15
know.
seasons.
It's a lot.
The fact that if Sam is 20 years old, I think they told us that
20.
He's 20.
Well, Dean is 26. I mean, Sam is 22. So they're 4 years apart.
Okay. So.
Oh yeah, he just graduated from college and going to law school. 22. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that means he's going to be 37 by the time we're done.
Yeah.
If the show moves chronologically.
Yeah, I think it does. They don't make much reference to years that I recall, but yeah, I guess that's the idea, is that they're,
Well, at least the actors are going to age. They're not going to be the Simpsons.
Yes, correct.
Okay. I'm intrigued by that. Yeah, I don't have a pick yet. But I do have a question time.
Oh, boy.
If this is such a science, these creatures, here's what you do. Like, as soon as they realize that the Wendigo was the Wendigo, and he holds up his pistol, he's like, well, this is going to be completely useless. There's a science to it. There's a sport to the hunting them portion. Why is this such a quiet, secretive thing? Why do they treat this like it's a small family operation, and we're not going to talk about it unless we just really, really need to? Why have they not petitioned Congress for a department? Why is there not the baby school of evil villain hunting? Like, why is this such a quiet thing if it's such a precise science? It's such a provable element, and they can verify that it's true. Why is it a secret?
Well, first of all, you don't know that it's episode 2. You don't know yet that it's a precise science or not. You don't know that it's always so easy to figure out what to do and how to do it. And I think that the answer to your question is probably the same reason why, if aliens existed, we're not just outright being like, all right, guys, this is what's happening. There's aliens out there. Like, I think you're asking a lot of the world public to just jump on board with this thing.
I don't know, man. Everybody in New York handled it well whenever the Ghostbusters came out about the ghosts are everywhere.
You do realize that that's also a fictional world.
Well, this is a fictional world, too.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah, but we're
just making sure. Hold on. There's not a spoiler here.
Well, I think... So you're saying in that world...
Yes, in the world of Baby and Sam and Dean and not Jensen and Jared. I wonder why they have to be so secretive about this.
I think that while it is obviously a world not based in reality, or is it? It also wants to act like it's a world based in reality, meaning that if Sam and Dean live in the same world that we do, and we just don't know it, our world would not just accept that this is just our reality now, guys. Monsters are everywhere, all over the place.
No, and I'm not even suggesting that it's that cut and dry. It's not that black and white. But I'm talking about, hell, we just watched Red One, and we have a partnership with the United States Air Force with Santa on this one. There's each of these elements that this playing after some sort of realism. We're just making the assumption that these evil creatures, these folklore creatures that we all know growing up, we hear stories about them, the assumption is that they're real. And so we're fighting these evil, physical, corporeal creatures that can be fought and killed and yada yada. So why is it two brothers and a dad fighting these and not a larger operation?
Is there a larger operation?
Oh boy, here we go.
You don't know.
A season 2 plot twist.
That being said, if the entire world, a la Walking Dead, was in on this of fighting the evil, it would not nearly be the story that we're watching. It wouldn't be these two brothers against the world.
Yeah.
And that, in and of itself, not only creates their dynamic, but it creates most of the story that we're watching. And so for me, it's a much more compelling story. And it creates the characters that we come to know and love.
So this just needs to be part of that suspending disbelief. Okay. I'm good. All right, so you were also asking about the locations, because when they were down in the caves, you were getting really, really geeked.
Not geeked. Where did they shoot that? Where did they shoot that? The cave where the Wendigo is holding the bodies. Like, where is that? I need research. I'm not probably going to do the research, but I need someone to do the research. Like, there's no way they built that. I mean, did they? Like, that would be an extensive set. Either that or they did a really good job of making it look enormous when it was really just one long hall and a turn or something with a room. But that's a lot to build, and I don't think that in the season 1 they had the budget for something like that, to build something like that. So my guess is there's a real location like that that isn't condemned, like it's safe enough that a film crew can go in there. To my knowledge, I don't remember them ever reusing it, which would seem like a good location to be able to reuse. So I don't know. I was just very intrigued. And that's something that I never have thought watching that episode in the past. And now I guess that I'm in the film industry, I'm just like very much intrigued of like, where in the heck did they find that location? You're looking it up right now.
I am trying to look it up. Yeah.
You're like, Phil.
No.
But no, yeah, I just kept on being perplexed. Although you did notice that when Sam and the little brother Ben fell down, whatever they fell down, that was definitely built, which wouldn't surprise me that would be something that's built because it for safety reasons, but that the wall was clearly fake because somebody's foot or something hit it and it like bent.
Yeah,
as they were coming down.
Legal.
Yeah, and then after they fell, I noticed that there was like a freeze frame of Sam lying on the ground because this guy's arm is up in the air and his leg is in the air and neither of them are moving for like a second. I'm like, that's just not possible.
Yeah, but I can still hear Sam grunting.
Yeah.
Though, so, you know, the important thing. Okay, so it might be out there. We will find the truth eventually.
Leave some comments. Leave a comment in the comments.
So I went down below. Yeah, so that I thought that was interesting, but I didn't catch near as much the same in that respect because for me it was just they showed a cave. Here was a cave. I accepted the cave. Didn't think about whether or not it was. Well, my secondary thought is that maybe they were using another set. You know, somebody else had already built the cave and used it for something. I know that
a lot of things shoot in Vancouver.
Rec did that a couple of times. Is that they would find out that somebody else on another show had just recently built a cave system. We'll get to this at some point. We'll get to this episode, and I'll point it out again when we get there. But they were needing a cave system and just borrowed one that another show had used. And so they just grabbed it and utilized it.
That's a good point. A lot of things shoot in Vancouver, so that is very possible that somebody else built a cave for their show and Supernatural just used it. It might even been another... at the time, WB show. Fun fact, WB became the CW, got bought or something, I don't know, and most of the shows on the WB going over to CW got canceled. And Supernatural was one of the very few that didn't. Maybe the only one? Not positive about that. I used to know the real fact. Christy, what's the answer? But it was a very prideful moment for the Supernatural fandom, the SPN fam, because it was constantly on the brink of cancellation, Supernatural. It was a cult show, and they kept miraculously coming back. And so when it made the jump from WB to CW, it was like, we finally made it, guys. Like, we are respected enough that we moved over to the new network, because like that was a prime opportunity to cancel a show like Supernatural. Like, even if it's a good show, canceling it because you want to start fresh or whatever. So it was a very prideful, proud of our show and our boys, but also celebratory, just like, yes. And then it goes on for, I don't remember what year that happened, but then it went on for 10 or whatever more seasons after that. And It was very sad for it to end, but Sam and Dean can't hunt. As Jensen and Jared always used to make the joke of like they'll be hunting, with walkers.
So how does it feel doing a rewatch? Because I know it's been a while since you've seen it. How much of this is memory versus catching new things that you didn't notice? Does anything feel different? Because also, as you get older, your life chapter changes. The way that you see the world changes. So watching the show doesn't hit the same way as it would have when you were a kid versus now. So how is the rewatch so far for you?
I think that not much has changed in terms of my feelings about the show. I think probably because my memory of these episodes is very intact in terms of we were eating while we were watching the episode, and there was times where you were, looking down at your plate to get another bite, and I was like, oh no, he's about to miss this moment here, this visual moment. It's not a something that can be verbalized, and I knew it was coming because I remember it so well. Like you missed something that I made you go back and rewind, but then there was another moment when Sam and Dean are having a conversation outside the car before they go on the hike, and Sam says something surprising to Dean, and he responds, and then he makes this face, and I knew that face was coming, and you missed it, but it's just like, and it was a quite funny face, and I was like, there's so many things that are not verbalized in this show, and I love it so much. There's so many visual moments, like a facial expression or a look or whatever, that if you're not watching it, you miss. And for me, those moments a lot of times really tell the side story, which is also kind of the main story, which is the brothers. A lot of times those looks really give you the information you need to know about the relationship between these brothers and who they are. And obviously, you missed a few in this episode, but they continue on throughout the series. But the consistency of it is what makes these guys who they are. And I just remember back in the day when I'd be watching them, I'd just like have my eyes glued to the screen, and I'd just like be catching all of these moments. And I mean, as an adult, knowing what's coming, I have thoughts. But so far, I think that I still love it just the same. I still love it. I feel like I don't really have new insights watching it again because I have already had those insights just thinking about the show in general as an adult. So the watching of them isn't like, oh, whoa. Although there was one moment in this, I was like, the acting on one particular part, I was just like, okay, that was a little rough there, but which I didn't remember being rough.
Well, which part is it now?
I don't want.
Now I want to know.
No, I don't want to call anybody out.
Oh.
No, I don't want to do
Yup, I'm going to keep giving you the look.
No, it was just it was when they were talking about the marks being obvious in the woods.
Yeah, okay. I remember that part. What was so bad about it?
I don't know. It just seemed overplayed a little bit.
I was thinking, these marks are just too obvious. It's almost like you did it on purpose.
Something like that.
Oh, I thought they were throwing in some subtext for us that I just hadn't picked up on.
What do you mean, subtext?
Well, like they were talking about something else. They were talking about a different experience or something that, they were doing their brother thing.
Oh.
I remember noticing that it stood out, but it didn't stand out to me as bad acting. It stood out to me as...
I wouldn't say... I did say bad acting, but what I guess I should say
You heard it here.
It wasn't the best. And we also have to remember this is episode 2. So both of these actors are still getting into their characters. They are still getting to know their characters. And in a lot of ways, the writers are still getting to know these characters. So I'm not coming for Jared at all. I think it's just a recognizing of a moment of an early season, just not quite knowing how to play something yet. I don't think it was bad necessarily. Not actually bad. It was just knowing what's coming in terms of what Jared does with the character of Sam. I think on the rewatch, I'm like, Jared could have done that better, knowing what he later does with the character Sam, I guess.
Okay.
And
you're recognizing the green of all of it.
Yeah, and I think, too, a lot of actors will agree that choices that they've made weren't necessarily choices they would make later on as well. And that's the beauty and the unfortunate circumstance. Yeah, I don't know. There's some word I'm looking for.
Throw in some random word. We'll just blur it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's both a blessing and a curse, I guess. You can't be necessarily held accountable, but you still are because you don't know any better.
But I mean, after 15 seasons, you kind of get a lot of forgiveness.
Yeah. I'm sure this information is out there. I just haven't stumbled across it, or I don't remember stumbling across it. I would be curious to know how much Jensen and Jared knew about where the story was going early on. My guess is they were left in the dark because in a lot of ways their characters are left in the dark. Like right now, their characters don't know where Dad is, right? So
I'm going to remind you that this is a zero spoiler zone, and you'll be in big trouble if you're about to spoil something.
No, I do. Everybody knows right now that Sam and Dean don't know where their dad is.
That's true.
So I would think also true. You would want Jensen and Jared to not know where Dad is, but I don't know.
That's a good point. Well, when we have Jeffrey Dean Morgan on the show,
Jeffrey Dean Morgan's not going to be able to answer the question about whether Jensen and Jared knew. Well, he could if they talked about it, but you never know. The real people to ask would be Jensen and Jared.
Did he even know where he was? Yeah, there's something to think about.
Probably not, actually.
He's busy being Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Well, okay, so I want to ask what you're looking forward to, but I can't figure out how to do that in a way that's not going to be an obvious spoiler, so I suppose I'm going to retract the question before asking it. I don't know where we're headed. I'll tell you what, I am concerned that we're going to end up in a early season, we got a contract, episodic death loop. Find a monster, beat the monster, make some puns, move on to the next, and repeat the cycle over and over again. Because I have seen some shows do that, and they take a while to really get comfortable before they have the guts to step into big-time story.
No, there's definitely a 5-season arc. That is... Eric Kripke had a 5-season vision for this show. And despite the fact that they were always under threat of cancellation, obviously Eric can speak better than this than I can. If I had to guess, they did not veer off of it too much and to service the fact that they might be canceled. There's a lot of cliffhangers that happen in season endings. And I think that they're willing to just have the show end with people not knowing what happened. And I think I spoke earlier about how they have Monster of the Week episodes versus the story arc episodes. And they do have a lot of story arc episodes where the main focus of that episode is story arc and season arc. And I do recall at some point somebody saying in an interview or a commentary or something of like, you know, it's a good old Monster of the Week episode. We haven't had one of these in a while, that sort of thing. So I think that if it was Monster of the Week episodes for like an entire season, I would probably still watch, but I don't think I would enjoy it the way that I do.
Cool. Okay. Well, what else do you want to talk about?
Well, how'd you like this episode? You said you liked it, but do you like it better than the first episode?
I mean, yeah. I pilots always hit just a little bit weird. They just always feel off. I always feel like it's a first date when everybody's putting their best version forward. They took extra time getting ready, but then whenever you actually get into the second episode, you start to get into the real show. So it almost feels like two different shows for me. Like I'm a huge Firefly fan. You and I both watched that together recently, and we should have done this with that because that would have been really fun. But they ended up moving the pilot into the number 2 episode position because they realized that this pilot wasn't going to be sufficient. So they ended up reshooting the pilot and doing a new first episode because they needed more introduction. They needed more plot. And so that is this. It just feels like it's an entirely different world to go from plot to regular show. Like even maybe being on a regular production schedule could change a whole lot of that. So I find that they were 2 very different episodes. I would say that I probably liked the first one a little better, but it also felt like they had more time to do everything. You know, I was looking it up. It's really, really hard to look up show information if you want to avoid spoilers at all costs. It's really hard to do. But this one, the pilot was shot in L.A., and then they moved to Vancouver after the show got picked up.
I might have known that, but I've forgotten it.
So that can change everything, especially because in both situations they were in Palo Alto in the episodes, in both episodes, even though they were legitimately shot in 2 different countries.
You know what's funny is that when we shot outside of Sam's apartment or house or whatever it was, I was like, where did they find that kind of house in Vancouver? Because that's very, like, California, Southern California, or just California in general. I haven't been everywhere in California, so don't come for me, but it's definitely a particular style. And I was like, that's a very, I mean, that must be the one house in Vancouver that looks like that style, but it wasn't. It was actually in LA. So that answers that question for me. I might have known that back in the day, but I didn't remember.
Do they just do their own establishing shots in LA and then just cut them in?
No, you said the pilot was shot in LA.
Oh, okay, I understand. Okay, I thought you were talking about later stuff. Okay, never mind. Yeah, but anyway, I think I liked the first episode better. Second felt not quite routine, but it's that episodic, everything ends up landing in the same place it was at the beginning type thing. Everything gets buttoned up real nice. I'm fine with it, but at this point, we're still getting to know each other. It's Supernatural and I, Sam, Dean, and Baby and I, we're all still getting to know each other. So they did make a car reference, I don't want to say obligatory car reference, but it felt slightly out of sync. Like they had an interest in that car being a part of this from the beginning, obviously. Haley did not need to talk about the car, but she did.
Yeah, maybe. Might have been a little forced. I will say this, it's interesting that you find everything buttoned up because in the story arc, everything is certainly not buttoned up. There's a lot of unanswered questions. They don't know where their dad is. They don't know who killed Jessica. They don't know who killed their mom. They don't know why their dad has gone MIA.
No, it's true, but those were all still the exact same questions that existed at the beginning of this episode.
True. Well, a little bit, though, because they went to the coordinates thinking their dad was there. And now they're like, what? Why is he just gone? Why didn't he just call us? That's what Sam, why didn't he just call us and talk to us? They didn't realize until their dad was never in Breckenridge that he's gone off the map and is seemingly actively avoiding them and trying to not be around them and not be with them.
Maybe. But I think that there was very little information that we got from this episode that contributes to the overall. I've heard before that the 5-season arc is just outstanding.
Uh-huh.
It's outstanding, and I cannot wait to see what that is. This didn't feel like this episode contributed very much to that. And I'm not dogging it. I think it's perfectly fine. These little episodes, these side quest adventures, I think are a big deal too. They're great for the character development. They're great for the plot. They're still entertaining. That's the whole point. So I'm fine with it.
How are you doing with the supernatural part of it? That's not really your thing.
Well, what you'll see when we get into Trek on this too is that I'm a lot more of a science fiction fan than I am a fantasy fan. And fantasy, which I think there might be some elements of this that could be, and I think it's a great conversation point. I think it would be something that'd be really fun as we get deeper into the show and I can actually contribute more. I think it would be really fun to talk about that, like how much of this is fantasy. Right now, it feels like ghosts, Wendigos, they're fantasy. So that's what it is. And that doesn't tend to appeal to me too much. However, they are applying a science element to it. Like if this is what a Wendigo is, then we have to hit it with fire. We have to prepare this over here. And then the science fiction, the sci-fi elements, we've got more time to see. So I can't speak to it yet. I don't really know. It's not really hitting me super cool or super exciting. If they have a killer dwarf in the next episode, or elves, or I don't know, trolls or something coming up soon, I don't think it's going to get me especially stoked. So, yeah, it's a plot device.
Yeah, it really is. Again, the show is about the brothers. That is what the core of the show always was supposed to be, and always will continue to be. So it's not about the monsters, though it is a cool plot device, depending on your interests, I guess.
I am excited about seeing more of it, partly because it is fun. It's a very popular show, and seeing what the hype was about, seeing why so many people had such a cult following in it. Trying to figure out also why you don't like your Christmas present so much. I'm looking forward to figuring that out. And
I don't dislike it. He got me a lot of things that I love, okay? It wasn't like the one thing he got me, and it was like, oh, okay.
Well, I did get you 2 supernatural things.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like you like either of them.
I just don't have a use for fake IDs. What am I doing with those?
I don't know. Bookmark.
Anyway. Do you have any new predictions?
You know, I was wondering if you were going to ask me that. Actual predictions. I want to see Dean get a girlfriend, first off. I want to see what it looks like whenever he actually does not porn dog a situation. So there might be a relationship there. I'm wondering if this whole Jessica thing was just a convenient way to kick everything off, or if there's going to be residuals there. So this is me not making predictions. I'm just asking questions.
Difficult to not spoil things.
I know, right? Let's see. If I'm actually predicting, I'm going to predict that the car is going to become some sort of sentient at some point in time. Not permanently, but as a development. And they're just off the wall predictions at this point because I don't have anything to go off of. Jeffrey Dean Morgan was... he is, I guess we're in the present tense since this is how we're going through it. He is incapacitated. Either that or on vacation.
Do you think that their dad ever took vacation?
Yep. It's Jeffrey Dean Morgan. He's in Cabo. That's what it is. No, I don't think so. I think it's too early. I think it's way too early.
So then, favorite thing from this episode?
Are you taking our game?
Favorite thing and least favorite thing from this episode. I think I know your least favorite, but...
favorite thing from the episode. Actually, I did like this creature.
He's a cool guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that was kind of neat. And I could see actually being terrified of something like this if I found out that it was a real thing. Partially just the speed, how quickly it is, and like getting caught isn't just moments split and then you're done. This sounds like it's a long, slow, torturous demise as you're just waiting to be chomped on.
I think there was a survey back in the day, and one of the questions was, what's your favorite creature from the Supernatural verse? And mine was, for a long time, I would answer Wendigo, because I think that it really intrigued me that this was a man.
Yeah.
And, I think that was really what kind of drew me to it. It's like, there's this man that became a creature out of necessity in a lot of ways, but at the end of the day, it's still a man.
Yeah.
And I think that like has an extra creep factor to it, rather than just like this completely like a killer dwarf, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or a ghost. Although I guess technically a ghost was probably also a man. It's a spirit now. But whatever. You get what I was saying.
Except for the lady in white.
Yeah, she was a spirit.
She was not a man.
Man as in human.
Human. Cool. And then least favorite part of the episode. Actually, you know what? I know exactly what it is. Least favorite part of the episode. Why did there have to be a third sibling? This character was nothing but complaining and finding the M&Ms. That was it. That was all that character did.
No.
Yeah.
It also continued the help with the family, like the family element, and he also helped find his sister. And
he didn't find his sister. They fell through a well. They fell down the well, and then there they were. Very convenient plot device.
He helped to get his brother out.
Which Sam did not have the capacity to cut two people down.
And he also was another voice for his family when they were saying things like, well, maybe his cell phone, doesn't have service, and he was another advocate for that.
She
Tommy
answered that question.
Yes, but Tommy,
and he said, well, maybe he's just having a fun time. He's like, he wouldn't do that. And it was this just overreaction. That character did not need to be there.
I disagree, but to each their own.
It could have just been the sister.
I don't think that he took away at all. No. And then I think that he did add, maybe not as much as you want him to have added, but I do think he added.
I don't know, man. You asked me for my least favorite.
I know. I just said I disagree. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's fine. Okay, well, what about yours?
My favorite is continuing to see the brother relationship develop, because that's just my favorite part of the show in general. So that's why this is one of my favorite episodes of season 1 that I've rewatched many times, because you really get to start seeing the dynamic between the brothers. You see that Sam is having a hard time, and as much as they have this kind of no chick flick moments pact or way of being, that Dean really has this kind of tough guy exterior in a lot of ways, but it cuts through. You start seeing where Dean's weakness lies, is in his brother, because he cares you can tell from this episode that he cares very deeply about Sam. He's teasing him, but at the heart of it, he's concerned. And he isn't showing it outright a lot, but then there comes a push, comes a shove when Sam kind of has a blow up moment. He's like, okay, dude, like, I'm worried about you. This is not healthy. He doesn't say those words, but that's what he's trying to say. And as a 26-year-old dude that was raised by a single father who probably didn't talk much about healthy relations and healthy way of speaking and put him into therapy or whatever, just based on what we know so far. That doesn't seem like the upbringing they had. So he's using the words that he does have, but underneath it all is him being very concerned about his brother. And you start seeing it in this episode more so than the last episode. He saved Sam's life last episode, and they had a lot of teasing and a lot of like hitting each other and whatever, that kind of brotherly dynamic. But this episode, you start seeing that protective older brother coming out, and that brother dynamic developing more. And so that's my favorite part. My least favorite part, gosh, that they changed the music.
Oh, man.
It's hard. Can I even really say that because it's not the actual episode? If we're talking about the actual episode as it was originally aired, probably that line. I mean, just because you pointed it out, maybe, but that line about, "Is that your car? Nice wheels." It did feel a little forced. So I think maybe that, but other than that, I think it's a great episode. I really enjoyed it. The Wendigo is a great monster of the week, and there was a lot of brother development and talked about the overall story arc as well. So you got a little bit of everything, which I really enjoy.
Yeah. I'd be okay if more of the show was like this. If they can tie in some more, like a bigger arc that goes beyond the episode, not just one singular plot line of where's dad, which is fine, but I hope that there's a lot more to this arc that's coming. But if more of the episodes were like this one, I think that would be fine. So I enjoyed that a lot. I am looking forward to the next episode,
which is
Supernatural 103. This is going to be Dead in the Water. Bum, bum, bum.
Based on the title, what do you think it is?
Dead in the Water? Mm-hmm. As far as like what's the creature?
Or just what it is. What is the episode about?
I'm thinking that someone was found in Lake Honeyworth, Vermont, and somebody was found in the lake. Sam and Dean are they drive over to Vermont in Baby because it makes sense to go from California to Colorado to Vermont in the car. And they try to solve it, and it ends up being piranhas. Piranhas.
All right.
Yep. That's my official take it to the bank Jeff prediction, is that it's piranhas.
Okay. Well, as long as you remember.
Mm-hmm. And I study with the lead pipe.
As long as you remember, driver picks music and shotgun
shuts his cackle.
Yeah. You're getting it.
All right, so then I guess we'll come back next time.
Next week.
Sounds good.
Like, comment, subscribe.
All right, okay, bye.
Bye.